I ain't gonna lie, bro. Right now, it just seems like you can't win for losing right now, man. If it ain't one thing, it's another. Right now, there's something called cyclospora. I just heard about it. Maybe y'all heard about it before, but we about to get straight into this video. Like it before you like it. Hit the sub before you hit the button. And join the team before you hit the green.
Hype me up.
This don't make no sense, bro.
Hype me up.
This is an important update regarding the cyclospora outbreak for August 14th, 2026. My name is Dr. Rubin, and the Washington Post recently reported that FDA officials are finally physically in Mexico at the farms that are likely linked to the cyclospora outbreak. That's that iceberg lettuce from Taylor Farms.
Wow.
And this is coming almost a month after they had announced that this linkage had occurred through epidemiological traceback investigations, where they asked people who were affected by this outbreak where they had eaten over the past couple of weeks. And initially people thought that Taco Bell was to blame, but the reality is it's much more nuanced and complicated than that, as this is likely a food distribution problem from this particular farm. Despite the fact that we don't have a positive test of cyclospora, it's a bit irrelevant at this point since it's been so long since the investigation and outbreak has occurred that we're not going to be able to produce a positive sample at this point. And the fact that the FDA is coming into Mexico to look at this farm almost a month after they figured out this traceback investigation is rather delayed. It's now going to be much more difficult to figure out how this outbreak actually happened because the facilities are likely going to be changed over, cleaned in ways that it's going to be more difficult for investigators to figure out what actually happened to help prevent this from happening in the future. Now, remember, there have been lots of cuts to our federal health agencies over the past year, and it's going to be more difficult with these types of cuts to be able to have the staffing and resources available to address all of these different issues. So if we want to make sure that we help prevent these things from happening, we need to be investing more in resources for our federal public health agencies, not cutting them back.
I wonder who made the cuts. Oh my God, bro. It just gets worse and worse.
I initially thought could be the Democrats making light of a bad situation and placing blame where they shouldn't. And then I did just a touch of research. On July 1st, 2025, the CDC's foodborne surveillance network called FoodNet, cool name, dropped a number of pathogens that require states to track from 8 to 2. Only Salmonella and E. coli remain mandatory. Cyclospora, Listeria, Campylobacter, Shigella, Vibrio, and Yersinia all became optional. Cyclospora has been tracked continuously since 1997, meaning 28 years of monitoring, ended the summer before the biggest outbreak on record. Folks, connect the dots. Since early 2025, the administration has cut more than 3,000 positions from the CDC, roughly a quarter of the workforce. And what do you know? We're having a cyclospora outbreak. I mean, this is math. This isn't politics.
Connect the dots. They can't govern is what you want it, really. They cannot. They don't govern, and when they govern, they steal. I mean, I think that's
the administration dissolved the CDC's Division of Parasitic Diseases and Malaria.
Yeah.
And they keep saying, oh, it's bloated bureaucracy. We'll talk about, okay, bloated is a key word here, and wasteful. I mean, these words are taking on new meaning right now, and the pattern isn't limited to one parasite. A second one, a flesh-eating New World screwworm, showed up in U.S. livestock in June for the first time in nearly 60 years. And so talk about gross, these larvae burrow into the flesh of living animals, and the USDA is fighting it by releasing millions of sterile flies in Texas. Mexico and Canada have both restricted U.S. cattle imports over the spread. So there's neutering of our government agencies and replacing them with loyalists and competence is, folks, the chickens are coming home to roost, except the chickens have diarrhea or will give you salmonella or whatever. I initially thought...
Yeah, bro. Listen, let's call a spade, bro. This old Trumpy Trump right here, bro. Look, somebody in the comment section said, when the cuts happen, I told my audience that outbreaks would happen. It's a straight line. Here we are. Our systems that prevent these diseases were destroyed by this administration. It's not political. It's basic common sense. Facts, bro. Like, come on now.
I know most of us would like to avoid having explosive diarrhea, so let's talk about this recent cyclosporiasis outbreak. There's about 2,000 cases of cyclosporiasis that are documented right now. So this is an increase from baseline. Michigan has the most at 992. This is not a new parasite. This has been around, and typically outbreaks are linked to fresh produce like raspberry, cilantro, basil, salad mixes. The produce actually plays an interesting role here because of the life cycle of this parasite. So it is spread fecal-oral, but you poop out these oocysts, And it is unlikely that those get people sick, but they have to like sit in an ideal environment for like 1 to 2 weeks and mature, and then they can get people sick. So generally there's like contamination in the fields, the contamination gets on the produce, and again, sitting in this ideal environment for 1 or 2 weeks, and then it's harvested and then inappropriately cleaned, and then that's the risk for us to get sick. The symptoms are pretty similar to most GI illnesses: nausea, vomiting, lots of diarrhea, can be watery. It's been described as explosive, but it's diarrhea. You can also have some abdominal pain, some cramping, and a low-grade fever. Biggest risk is going to be dehydration from fluid loss, and again, the older people and the younger people are going to be most at risk. It is treatable. Bactrim is the treatment of choice, but you could also use Cipro if there's an allergy. The reason I said like documented earlier is because there are a lot of people that are going to have mild symptoms for a short period of time, are going to clear this on their own without treatment, and may never be tested or diagnosed officially. In general, for gastrointestinal illnesses, we work on encouraging fluid hydration with electrolytes and sugar. Give your pediatrician a call if you're not doing well after a couple days, and if you're starting to get dehydrated or have other concerning symptoms, it's time to head to the ER.
All because they make these cuts, man. This is wild.
So a lot of people say that they've been trying to do their own research and check out these numbers, and they say the numbers are not adding up. Well, the CDC just updated its numbers on the cyclospora outbreak linked to iceberg lettuce today. It is now confirmed in 15 states with 6,358 illnesses, 278 hospitalizations, and 2 deaths in Michigan among people with underlying conditions. Now, that's from the Taylor Farms de Mexico recall on July 17th. But here's the bigger picture. Nationwide, there are over 22,700 cyclosporiasis cases either confirmed or under investigation across 47 states. The parasite spreads through contaminated fresh produce and causes weeks of explosive diarrhea.
Weeks.
So you say, well, what should we do? Skip the recall, bagged or shredded iceberg lettuce. Throw it out or return it. Now, for other raw fruits and vegetables, wash them thoroughly under running water, scrubbing firm. Items like watermelons and, different melons, we got to wash them firm. Better yet, choose whole heads of lettuce. Peel what you can or cook your veggies to at least 158 degrees. They say fresh produce is still healthy. You just have to take these extra steps while the investigation continues. Now, if anybody else want extra news or feel like they need to go do a little more research, go check cdc.gov for the latest news.
I wonder why the highest numbers are in Michigan. Is Michigan still experiencing the water thing that they had with Flint and all that kind of stuff, bro? Like, people ain't finna just be wasting water, bro. I don't know.
If you're just waking up this morning, I have breaking news in regards to the cyclospora outbreak. So overnight, the amount of cases just went up to 17,000 confirmed cases of cyclosporiasis. It's also now in 48 states, including Washington, D.C. This is the first time Washington, D.C. actually got on the map for this one. Here's what's really disturbing to me. The CDC says that they are actively investigating at least 6 other separate illness clusters where the specific food sources are not yet confirmed. So I know that it's been kind of quiet on the cyclospora outbreak front, meaning that we haven't been leading the newscast with it, and I haven't been talking about it a lot, but it is still a thing. It is still happening, and we still don't know the sources. So today at 1:00 live on YouTube, I have an exclusive interview with the head of the FDA Food Safety Division, who is going to be talking about the latest numbers and also the latest on the outbreak. And here's the best part about it. You can actually ask him questions live on YouTube with me. And I want to tell you something too. They reached out to me and said, we would like to update this information with you. Would you do this interview? Of course, I said yes. So we're doing it as a live on YouTube. It's all part of my new series of Susan Makes Sense live series that will air every Wednesday at 1:00. So stay tuned for that. And remember to always follow me. I'm on top of all of these.
Hey, man, look, I just seen an interesting comment in the section, right? Somebody said it was laid out in Project 2025 that they would destabilize and deregulate our food supply. So that's exactly what's happening. Then someone responded and said, yep, chapter 10, pages 291 through 318. Now, this guy right here, perfect example of a DEI hire. Mediocre person given a position he is not qualified for.
Experts have talked about worries over the preparedness of the health system since the cuts and the staff layoffs at the Health and Human Services Department. Wondering how you respond to those criticisms. Do you think we are more unprepared than in previous years if there were to be another COVID-19 pandemic?
We're more prepared than we've ever been before. And you can look at the cytospora cases in 2018. It took them 6 weeks to figure out cytospora, where the cytospora source was coming from for the big outbreak. And this year we were able to figure out in 2 weeks.
It's pronounced cyclospora, and RFK Jr. is lying to you about how well he is doing as Health and Human Services Secretary, that under his leadership, it didn't take them just 2 weeks to figure this out. It's taken them much longer. Just conceptually, it takes a long time to figure out that someone has cyclospora, because when they get infected, it can take several weeks before they even get symptoms, and then to present to a doctor and then get specialized testing. This takes a lot of time. So 6 weeks makes sense for what happened in 2018. But during this current outbreak, the initial illnesses were reported on May 13th, 2026, and the FDA announced that Taylor Farms was likely implicated through traceback investigation on July 17th, 2026, which took 9 weeks, not 2. Yet again, RFK Jr. doesn't understand what it means to do gold standard science or be radically transparent. He does not know what he's talking about, and he needs to be fired.
A straight DEI hire, bro. This is... Oh, he's everything they be thinking black folks is. I hope he's qualified looking there.
A food recall is when either the Food and Drug Administration or a manufacturer removes food from commerce. It might be voluntary, just based on mislabeling, or it might be because of something causing adverse health effects in that food, such as bacteria, or maybe even contaminants like metal or plastics.
It's not great. I would like to be able to purchase stuff without having to worry about explosive diarrhea, but that's life. You kind of just gotta navigate around it.
We have 345 or whatever illnesses that are traced to the jalapeno peppers. We have potentially something around 22,000 from 6 different cyclospora outbreaks. And those are just the illnesses that have been documented. Certainly there are a lot of folks in the advocacy community who have been concerned about some of the cutbacks at particularly the FDA, because I mean, this is their job, and the CDC. So I do think that this is a good question to ask, especially once we get past the worst of the cyclospora and the salmonella and whatever else may be coming. I do hope that Congress takes a look at this and ask the question, hey, the fact that we have fewer workers, did that delay the information getting out to people? Did it delay inspections? You know, did somebody drop the ball? I think those questions are worth asking.
They playing with public health and public safety because they want to make cuts, man. Bro, this dude's stupid. My thing is this, I'm sitting up here looking at it and I'm like, bro, I'm safe. I ain't had no lettuce. I ain't had nothing. Then I thought about it. I had a jalapeno on some on some Mexican food the other day, bro. God damn.
Does anybody have an update on the cyclospora thing? Whatever the hell it's called. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The diarrhea bug. The lettuce parasite thing. Y'all know. Does anybody have an update? Please, I beg, I plead. Please tell me some good news. I'm so sick of eating everything fried, dyed, and laid to the side. I'm too scared to eat anything that's a vegetable or green at this moment, because you will not get me in my insides, okay? When it comes to eating out and eating in, I am literally running out of options. I have never wanted a bowl, a sub, a salad, a wrap, something I could just stick a fork into and dig around and pick out nice, beautiful pieces of vegetables and lettuce and greenery. Ah, good times. Truly good times. Like, I'm actually considering, anybody ever try a leaf off a tree? What does that taste like? Because I'm getting desperate. No, but for real, if anybody has an update, a timeline, a workaround, a loophole, something, please fill me in.
Hey, dog, like I said at the beginning of the video, you can't win for losing, bro. You got to worry about people spitting in your food at Texas Roadhouse. You got to worry about the beef because it's mystery meat and we don't know where it's coming from. You have to worry about the produce. You got to worry about everything, man. It's hit right now.
Today is August 15th, and here's a couple updates on the Salmonella and the Cyclospora outbreak. FDA has now upgraded its egg recall to its most serious classification, which means there's a reasonable probability that using or being exposed to the recalled product will have serious health risk or even DEATH. If you aren't aware of the egg recall, these are eggs of various sizes, both brown and white eggs. The brands that are impacted by the recall are Kroger, Simple Truth, Brookshire's, Cal-Maine Sunups, and Country. On the topic of Cyclospora, FDA is now on site at the Taylor Farms facility in Mexico to start their inspections and samplings for further testing. As of now, there has been 9,481 cases of Cyclospora since the outbreak started, with 2 EATHs. Make sure to...
Hey, bro, listen. Before this administration right here, dog, they would have been at the site. They would have been at ground zero figuring out what's what, but they made all those cuts, man.
Y'all really don't even know what y'all are asking for. Honestly, I see all the jokes about, oh, you guys want to lose 20 pounds, you want to lose 10 pounds. You guys get that shit. I have it. It's not as cute as you think it is. I can barely get away from my house, but barely get away from the bathroom. Y'all want to be tethered to a toilet? I can't even damn think straight. Because every other thought in my head is shit. Y'all begging and trying to eat all the... You don't even know what you're trying to get yourself into. You don't even know what you're asking for.
Let's get a fit check.
You don't. You don't understand the gravity of what you're asking for.
Why?
It's been about... If you're anything like me, you have heard the phrase explosive diarrhea more times this week than you have in your entire life. Why is this happening? Because the US is seeing an outbreak of an illness caused by a parasite called Cyclospora, which, while not unknown, is hitting way harder than usual this year. Right now, the epicenter is Michigan. They usually see about 50 cases of cyclosporiasis a year. Right now, they're at over 1,200. But at this point, it is now confirmed in 32 states. Now, Cyclospora, which caused this intestinal illness, live on produce: basil, cilantro, berries, lettuce. It usually comes from contaminated water. It gives you weeks of cramps and watery diarrhea. Dang. Now, usually its source can eventually be traced and it can be stopped, but right now nobody can tell which farm this parasite came from. At this point, health officials don't even know if this is one outbreak or several running at the same time. So why is the situation so out of control compared to other years? Many are suggesting that it comes down to the Trump administration's cuts. As the simple truth is that lots of the people whose job would be solving stuff like this don't have those jobs anymore. Now, whether or not this guy's cuts and the current illness can be directly linked can't be proven yet, but here are some facts we know. First, in July of last year, the CDC quietly narrowed its main foodborne illness tracking program, which is called FoodNet. Narrowed it down from watching 8 pathogens to watching only 2. One of the 6 that got dropped, Cyclospora. The CDC's own reason for that? Funding hasn't kept up. Fact number 2, since January of 2025, the FDA has cut or pushed out over 4,300 staff. CDC lost just under 3,000, and the USDA has lost a shocking 24,000. That is 1 in every 5 people who worked there. All of these agencies deal in one way or another with food safety. Fact number 3, the Government Accountability Office, which is Congress's own watchdog, reported that the FDA hasn't hit its legally required inspection targets since 2018. Fact 4, there was a new rule finished up, all ready to go, that would have forced better record keeping, so investigators could trace a bad batch of lettuce back to the farm. It was supposed to kick in this past January. Trump's FDA delayed it after the grocery industry lobbied against it. So here's the common thread. Trump and Republicans cut the people who watch for food safety problems because they basically wanted to give that money to rich people in the form of tax cuts. As a result, inspectors are finding fewer problems, not because they went away, but because there's nobody there to look. That doesn't mean people won't get sick. In fact, many more of them are. So, what can you do to protect yourself? First, wash your hands with soap and water. Buy whole heads of lettuce. Wash all fruits and vegetables thoroughly. Cook your produce when you can. But of course, none of that is going to fix a food safety system that has been gutted on purpose. That's not a you problem. That's a Trump administration problem. That's a Republican problem. So if you really want to prevent foodborne illnesses, your best bet is is to vote them all out of office and never allow them back. After all, some public health threats can only be solved with prevention, and this is definitely one of them. If you're
Dog, that's wild, bro. That is wild. That is wild. Well, you can definitely tell she's left-leaning. Well, guys, that's the end of this video. Although I don't think this was the most entertaining video, but I think it's definitely valuable because a lot of people who watch me probably wouldn't have known about this until it got to the point where you really needed to know about it. So, yeah, bro, keep you and yours safe. I'm going to holler at y'all on the next one.